know your turn. This is the last video that will hopefully help you to use the equation in the way I want you to use it. But remember, everything I'm talking about I have put onto the slides as well in the document I would be giving you if you were in school. So let's just do a little bit of a recap. There's your periodic table. We talked about what the mole is. We said that 1 mole is equal to the relative formula mass. And I gave you the mass Mr. Mole's calculation equation for you to think about. Now, when you're using that equation, it is the only thing you're going to need. It is the only equation that can come up time and time and time again on chemistry paper 1. And it'll come up and it'll ask you to work out the relative formula mass, and you might get like 2 marks for doing that, and then you'll get an additional 2 marks for working out this bit, and then you'll get more marks for working out that bit. I've actually seen this equation used as a 6-mark question. So it's really important that you remember mass and Mr. Moles, okay? Now, let's go through some examples. So in example 1, the question is, what is the mass of 3.5 moles of methane? Now, it actually gives you the MR. So it's giving you the relative formula mass of methane. And in the exam, it might do that. Now, I've seen examples where people have worked out the MR, even though the MR was there, so the relative formula mass is the MR, have worked it out and got the wrong answer. And they could have just used the one in the actual piece of on the paper. So just be wary that if you are given a number that's telling you it's the relative formula mass, to use that number and not try to add it up yourself. I mean, you can do it really quickly in your head, because carbon's 12, hydrogen's 1, that equals 16. But just bear that in mind. So if we're looking for the mass, and what I might do is I might actually highlight this. I might say, right, we're looking for the mass, and I'll highlight the mass. And then I can go back, because I know Miss Hughes has done this for me. I can go back and I can say, right, she said to work out the mass, you've got to times your relative formula mass by your moles. And what you'll do is you'll pick those out. So my mass, my MR is 16, the amount of moles is 3.5, times those numbers together, and you get 56 grams. Now, example 2 is changed it up a bit. So we're not looking for the mass anymore, we're looking for how many moles. So, how many moles are in 348 grams of aluminium oxide? Again, it's giving you the aluminium oxide relative formula mass, so you don't have to work that out. In some of the questions that are coming up, you might have to though, so just bear that in mind. Now I can go back to Miss Hughes' equation she's given me and say, right, to work out the moles, I'm going to do mass divided by relative formula mass, and I'll pick out the mass, which is 348 grams, and quite easily divided by 102, and I get the moles. So those are quite straightforward. You're just putting the numbers into the equation. And I know you can do this because you've done it in lessons before, and you've done it in the previous lessons that you've done at home. So the third example, you guessed it, is looking at the MR. And by now you're probably thinking, oh, Miss Hughes, I get it, I'm putting numbers in. If you do get it, shut the video off and start the work. If you still need to stay with me a little bit more, then just stay and listen. So what is the relative formula mass, the MR, of 2 moles of a compound that weighs 204 grams? Now that is a little bit more difficult, and when this goes away I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about that. So if we're working out the MR, we go back and we need to divide mass by moles. So what is the MR of 2 moles? Pick out the things that you've got. We know that the compound weighs 204 grams, pop that in, and divide it by how many moles? Divided by 2, and you get 102 grams per mole. It must be aluminium oxide, because the one above is 102 grams per mole, and that tells you that it's aluminium oxide. I don't think you'll get anything as tricky as that, because you do have to do a little bit, and you have to have seen this first. But it's good to know that if you got a singular number, so it was talking about 1 mole, you could go to the periodic table and say, right, it's aluminium, or it's carbon. So it's just thinking about those things. Now, example 4, how many moles are in 5 kilograms of carbon dioxide? Again, you're given the relative formula mass, you just have to pop them into the equation. So mass divided by relative formula mass would be 5. Now, on this one, it does have a conversion. So let's go 5 times 10 to the 3 divided by 44, because you would have to, this would be the conversion. If you're really looking at that and you're thinking, oh, and I don't know, I don't understand that. If there isn't, if you can't, if you're not comfortable doing it, just leave it. We'll talk about it when we come back to school. The important thing is you understand how to put these numbers in, and most of the time you're getting the right answer. You will have to be able to use the conversions. But because this is quite a complex thing that I'm introducing you to, I don't want to overload you at the moment. But just be aware that that is because there is 1,000 grams in a kilogram. So it's 5 times 10 to the 3. Same for kind of this one here as well. And just bear that in mind for the harder questions. Right, so after that, you've got the tasks you have to do. Now, your tasks for task 7 are quite straightforward. You've got calculate the number of moles, use your moles equation, calculate the mass, use the mass equation. And lastly, we have this section. Now, this is the challenge section. These are for them students that understand the conversion and they want to try something a little bit harder. You do have to work out the MR of the compound in this one as well. So don't get tripped up by that. So I would therefore do that. And there's the calculate the mass as well. That one needs moving up to there, I think. So work through it. Do the best you can. If you want to try the harder ones, then go for it. But don't feel so stressed that you can't even think about the easier questions and the original questions. So if you do have any questions about any of that, then please feel free to email me. I'll talk you through it. I can go through answers with you. I can talk about the conversions, anything you need. But please have a go and have an answer ready to give me so I can tell you whether it's right or wrong. Because you might be sitting there with the right answer and then you say, Miss, I can't do it. And I'm like, but you've got the right answer. So you can do it. You need to know if you've got the right answer, understand if you've done it right in the first place. Now, hopefully that all makes sense. You might need to listen to this video a few times. You might need to stop it at each example and move on to the questions. It's up to you how you use the videos, but email me if you need any help. Okay?